Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about humidity and why it matters for your houseplants. Plus I'm also going to show you the humidifiers that I currently use as well as some other methods to increase humidity for your houseplants. So let's get into it. I always knew that humidity was really important to houseplants, but I never really understood why until I started doing my own research. Humidity is a very important factor in the process of photosynthesis. Plants have tiny pores on mainly the backside or the underside of leaves called stomata. These stomata open and close throughout the day, allowing for gas exchange. So when they're open, they will take in carbon dioxide, they'll release oxygen and water vapors. This is, like I said, an important process in photosynthesis. When you have conditions that are not ideal, if it's too hot or too dry, the plant will close those stomata, preventing any vapor or water loss. But ultimately, this also slows the process of photosynthesis because the plant can no longer take up the carbon dioxide used in that process. That's why you need humidity to keep the stomata open, to continue that gas exchange and photosynthesis process in order to make your plant continue to grow and thrive and all that kind of fun stuff. These pores will close and open throughout the day. So during the day when it's photosynthesizing, they will remain open as long as the conditions are right, but they will close at night to prevent any further vapor or water loss. I know not all houseplants love that really high humidity, so I was curious to know how these stomata function on a plant like a jade. They actually do the opposite. So on a regular houseplant, the stomata open during the day during photosynthesis and they close at night. With jade plants in particular, the stomata close during the day to prevent any vapor loss, and they actually open up at nighttime. They take in the carbon dioxide and store it in the leaves so that the following day they can use that carbon dioxide with or during photosynthesis to produce energy or sugars for plant growth. I did read a little kind of rule of thumb. If the plant leaves are thicker, typically they don't need as much humidity. So if you have like an anthurium, it's a pretty thin leaf. So that just goes to show you that a lot of these tropical plants that have thin leaves, they need high humidity, whereas succulents, cactus, all that kind of stuff, they have thicker leaves for water storage. They are used to that kind of very hot and dry conditions, whereas most tropicals, obviously they're in very warm and humid conditions. So what are the optimal humidity levels for houseplants? I did a bunch of reading on this and I can find literature anywhere from like 40% to 80%. And I think the general rule for myself anyways is I like to keep my houseplants around or in between the 50 and 60% for my higher humidity plants. I think that's around the ranges where the stomata remain open is around that 55 to 60%. I do have a small little hygrometer which I bought off Amazon, and it tells you the comfort ranges in percentages right on the meter itself. So the comfort zone between like 30 and 50%, this is for like healthy living conditions. Anything above 60% relative humidity in a house becomes too humid. You don't want those levels remaining too high for long-term use, otherwise you start to get into the issues of mold and bacteria and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if the air is too dry, that's actually going to cause your plant to suffer. Now there's many ways that you can achieve higher humidity, especially in the winter time. We have to run our furnaces, which is forced air through the air vents, but this dries out the air in our home quite drastically. There are two types of humidifiers that I use. This one over here is the Levoit 300S. It is an ultrasonic smart humidifier. I'll unbox this quickly and I'll show you some of the features and why I absolutely love this one. I do have this on my Amazon Canada and US affiliate page. I don't sell them, but I do make a small little percentage from these sales if you order it with that link. So it'll be down in the description if you're interested in that. I also use a smaller round humidifier that's just on the floor behind me here. The name I believe is Homedics, but I like to call it Homedics. I just think it's funny, just the way it's written on the humidifier. But anyways, so I'll talk about some of the features of these humidifiers and why I love this one in particular and would highly recommend this. Like I said, it's a smart humidifier, so you can control it from your smartphone as well. Yeah, lots of cool features on this one. So I'm gonna tear this one open, just set it up quickly, and we'll talk about some of the awesome features of this humidifier. This is not a paid video either. I did purchase this on Amazon. It was not given to me, but like I said, I highly recommend this for your houseplants. The reason why I saved this unboxing for the video is because I wanted to show a nice clean product. This one over here, it's not like disgusting or anything like that, but it definitely needs to be cleaned, and I don't have time, or I really don't feel like doing it today. You should clean these about once a week, and yeah, just do a little bit of research on your own, read the owner's manual. But here's the fancy unit. Comes out pretty much pre-assembled. You just have to take off these little tabs on the side and you are pretty much ready to go. There really isn't anything that I don't like about this one, but what I do appreciate is the large water chamber. I do believe it is a 6-liter chamber, and the lid comes off the top, and I simply just refill with filter tap water just through the top. I just bring down 4-liter jugs of water and I just pour it in the container. So that's what 4 liters looks like. Now I'm gonna get my other container. And let's top it up. If I run this on the low or medium setting, it'll probably last close to 2 days, so maybe like 36 hours or so if you're running it at the medium setting, which I'll show you here in a second. And I'll just put the top back on. Got a little bit dusty up there. So you simply just turn it on. It will show the humidity levels that are currently in your room. Right now it's set to the auto setting. I think when it's on the auto setting, it doesn't come on if it's higher than 50%. So you can change your humidity levels. Okay, here's the low setting. Let's bump that up to the medium. You can see it's got some pretty good flow right there. Now watch this. We are on the high setting. Look at that, just pumping it out. Has a night mode, which I really haven't played around with too much. It's also got a cute little night light. If you're afraid of the dark, turn that on and off. Probably the coolest feature about this humidifier is it can actually hook up to your smartphone. It is a smart device. You can add things like target humidity, which I have mine at 60% right now. It'll show you what the humidity currently is and your target ranges. So yeah, just lots of cool little features on here. You can turn on the night light as well. You can turn it off. Oh, it's got 2 settings. So yeah, it's just such a cool feature, especially when you're away. You can set those target ranges. The reason why my humidity is pretty high right now is because I have an air exchange system in my house. It continuously replenishes the air in the house. So it recirculates it, brings in fresh air, and just continuously recirculates the air. That also draws out the moisture and humidity, and it kind of dries it out a little bit. So I did turn it off for this morning, kind of this afternoon, and I'll turn it back on this tonight. But that just really reduces the humidity, especially throughout the winter. So I'm gonna have to turn that back on as I don't want the humidity levels getting too high. Here's the other one that I use. It has a small dial for the moisture levels. You can turn it down to minimal mist and up to high mist. This one in particular is good for small spaces, but you'll have to refill it quite often. I think it's only got like maybe a 2-liter tank. And the one thing that drives me nuts about this is when you pick it up off the base, water drips down all the time. So I'm constantly having to just kind of clean up some water drips around here. I do use these for my bedrooms as well, especially throughout the winter, just to raise the humidity while we sleep and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, every time you take off the canister, it's dripping water. So that's one feature I don't like. Otherwise, it's a really quiet unit. You don't hear it. And yeah, the misting levels are pretty good for this one. So it's good for this little area. I'll have to refill it every morning. Whereas the larger tanks, you might have to refill it maybe once every 2 days kind of thing. Generally, it's recommended that you use distilled water for your humidifiers as they don't have the minerals like you would with just regular tap water. I personally use a filtered tap water system. This is a Culligan filter system. It just attaches to our drinking water. It's got a little toggle here. It does filter out minerals as well as chlorine. The reason why you want to use distilled or filtered tap water is you'll definitely notice almost like a calcium buildup on like the table and the humidifier itself, but also the plant leaves. It can coat the leaves with almost like a very fine white dust, and it's actually really hard to get off the leaves, and it can be harmful as well if there is any salt content in there. So I just use my tap water, just pull this little toggle, and I fill up my water jugs for my humidifiers downstairs. This saves on plastic as well. That's why I don't like to use distilled water. I don't like going to the store and lugging around a bunch of jugs of water. Plus the waste. I don't like wasting all those plastic jugs. So I reuse some milk jugs, and I just use this filtered tap water system. I replace the cartridge every 3 months or so. You just twist it out, and I buy some replacements off of Amazon. If you don't have a humidifier, that's okay as well. I know a lot of people like to use those little pebble trays. Unfortunately, I don't have any pebbles on hand, but you can just use something like perlite. It's just to keep that pot elevated off of or out of the standing water. Just put water in the saucer and you should be good to go. Another good method is to clump or group plants together through that process of transpiration or water vapor loss through the stomata. It's good if you kind of clump all the plants together. That way they can have that relative humidity amongst themselves. I don't know any better way to explain that. Also, you can keep plants in high humid areas like your kitchens, bathrooms, and that kind of thing, as long as they get a good light source. But other than that, I think that's gonna be pretty much it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. If you want to watch another houseplant video, check this one out right here. Otherwise, thanks again for watching my videos. Take care, everyone. Bye.